Will it cold or not? Always a question, huh?
What?
Will it cold or not?
4, 8, 9.
Hey.
Oh.
Hi.
Hey.
Ja.
Okay. Perfect. Hey.
7, 4, 5. Bitte?
Hallo.
Grüß dich.
4, 4 und 5, 1, 3.
Was ist das?
Okay.
Sticker.
1, 1, 2. Ja.
Our German doubleheader continues as we make the 450-kilometre journey from Oberhof down to Ruhpolding, and one of the noisiest race weekends on the calendar. We kickstart this long weekend with the women's relay, 4 athletes per nation, 2-kilometre laps, 6 kilometres in total, of course, with the 2 shooting stages. We have 19 teams on the start line today. Here's a look at one of the most iconic courses that we travel to on the BMW IBU World Cup season. Alongside myself, Ellen Ellard today, Chad Salmler, former USA biathlete and coach, as we look at the air temperature, 2 degrees, so slightly chillier than it had been over the course of the last couple of days, which is of course what we want to see. Chad, the Olympics edge closer and closer. This is the last women's relay actually before the games. What will the teams want to get out of these next 2 days of relay events?
Well, I think first of all they want to get their 4 people figured out, and they can do that several ways. And I think look at Sweden, for example. They've got Johanna Skottheim going out first for the Swedes. I think this is an Olympic trials for Skottheim. It's very clear that it probably is for her. For everybody else, though, they might be trying to dial in the 4 athletes that they already know they're going to use and which order they want to try. It's a one last dry run to figure out where they think they're going to put their relay together for the Olympic Games. It's a big one.
Well, yeah, you mentioned one name that's returned, Johanna Skottheim, of course, coming back from illness. 2 really of the big names, the eye-catching names returning. Dorothea Viera, you can see in the Italian squad, alongside Lisa Vitozzi. They started off the season so well in the relay, Chad, and haven't quite hit those heights since. Could today be the day that it clicks once again for the Italians?
Yeah, it's mostly been due to the absences of their big stars when Italy hasn't done well. They finished the first relay in second in Östersund, and they did that with Vera going first. They're putting Alcantara first, which is a little bit more of a risk because she doesn't quite have the ski speed. I think that Alcantara's shooting will keep them in the pack, though, and this is a good layout. The Italians this time will go out with Alcantara first, and then Vera, Carrara, and Vitozzi. That's a formidable group right there. Bib 6. Watch them.
Yep, there is a look at the Italian squad, and always happy to interact with the cameras is Hanna Ockenthaler. Next to them, well, Chad, let's pause and take a moment to reflect on Finland's season so far. An excellent first trimester.
every one of their athletes ranked in the top 55, and 3 of them ranked in the top 40. That's a good relay group, but they're not going to stand out against the best teams unless the best teams falter. Finland could be a surprise for a podium today. Germany, they won this last year. They want to win it again. Almost a completely different quartet. The only person back from last year's win for Germany in their quartet today is Franziska Preuss.
And of course, she's come into quite good form over the course of the last couple of weeks. It's a new look Norway team as well, Chad, and next to them Sweden, who are in some exceptional form, particularly those last 2 athletes to go out, the Åberg sisters, and what the last couple of weeks they've had in particular.
They have, but they struggled in the relay because Anna Magnusson had a kind of a freak accident with her prone sling. It came off in the shooting stage number 1, and Sweden never recovered in the relay. It seemed like just a few days ago in Oberhof. So they're going with Scott Times and Magnusson not on the start order, but this is the most formidable team on the course today, and for obvious reasons. They are some of the best athletes in the world. Their worst ranked athlete on the start line today, Julia Simone, 12th ranked in the world. Everybody's better than her.
So here we go. What a beautiful backdrop we have here in Ruhpolding, not too far away from the Austrian border and around an hour and a half outside of Munich. So very easy to get to for the fans who arrive each and every year in their masses. This is why we have such a spread out and extended weekend here in Ruhpolding, and it will be the Germans who are led out by Vanessa Voigt who will want to exploit that as they did last year. We can see the Americans bobbing around in the background, Chad. We've got to mention the race that they had last weekend as well.
Best race since before this best race in this 4-year Olympic trial. They've got a whole new group of athletes that have had to sort of get seasoned, and they're just coming into their own. Lucy Anderson and Margie Freed just getting enough biathlon experience to support Deidre Irwin and Joanne Reed, who are a little bit more veteran. And they have a great, strong team going to this Olympic Games, and it just happened in the last few months.
Everything starting to click. The Olympics on the horizon. This the last women's relay before the Games in Milan and Cortina. The countdown is on. The stadium is packed. We are poised and ready to go here in Ruhpolding, and we are underway. Well, such an iconic venue. And we have an excellent battle on our hands today. This long stretch coming through the stadium, Chad. Well, it's a brilliant way to get this race started. Just look at that for a crowd.
Yeah, and this venue is designed just for this very thing, to feel like the crowd is on top of you. There's not a lot of space between the shooting range and the crowd, and a lot of that is with they actually have to go through the finish area to start this race, and then they block it off for the exchange and the actual finish for the event. But it's you feel the crowd noise on top of you when you're shooting here. This is a spectacular venue. It's the closest the fans come to the shooting points, and it is loud.
Well, 2 degrees, as we saw on the weather reading before the racing got started. There have been some quite high numbers registered in Ruhpolding, given the time of year over the course of the last couple of weeks. But Chad, what are your takes on the snow as they make their way up the first climb?
You can see it's soft. It's not terribly soft, but it's softer than normal. They're coming from Oberhof, where it was really wintry cold. It was -10 regularly overnight in Oberhof, and sometimes colder than that at the start of the race. But this is probably a welcome temperature as far as like keeping your fingers and your ears and extremities warm during the race. But that comes with a little bit of a breakdown of the course. I don't think the course will break down too terribly bad, but you can see they've already just in the warm up for the race and skiing the laps before zeroing, that the course is already showing some wear and tear, and that's the challenge of the organizing committee when it's this warm. But it should, if it gets back under freezing, which should tonight, it should freeze up overnight and be firm for tomorrow's men's relay.
So it is Vanessa Voigt of Germany who makes her way to the front. Lou Jean Monod tucked in behind, the World Cup leader, who struggled slightly in Oberhof by her standings, but still leads the way, and looking forward to seeing her back out on the course in the individual competitions for the rest of the week. A word on Norway as well. No Ingrid Landmark Tandervold for the relay, but she will be involved, we hope, elsewhere in the week. The coach is coming out this week and just saying that she's not feeling 100%, hence the changes made to the Norwegian squad today.
Vanessa Voigt at the front here is kind of surprising. I think that it's a sign that nobody's really looking to really force the pace. Voigt is one of the probably one of the slowest skiers of the favorite team's favorite first legs. Alcantara probably equal with her, but Voigt is so good on the shooting range. She is a great person to put first as long as the pace isn't fast, and this is playing right to the Germans' hands in this strategy of their layout. And Vanessa Voigt is a 98% prone shooter. She's hit 171 of 180 targets in total this year, and amongst the top biathletes in the world who have raced significantly on the World Cup, she's the #1 shooter right now at 95% accuracy. That's the kind of person you want going out #1 if you have somebody like that in your quartet, especially if they don't have world-class ski speed.
No, she has been edging closer and closer to a return to the podium, and as you rightly say, looking exceptional in the range. So keep your eyes on Vanessa Voigt, a 98% prone accuracy this season, and it is now Lou Jean-Monod, who doesn't want to wait around, who's decided to push the pace as they head towards the 1.4 kilometre mark.
And Vanessa Voigt just tucks right in, going to try to ride the efforts of Jean-Monod and keep it smooth and keep it clean for Germany. And Hanna Alcantara with a really big task. She knows that she needs to deliver today. Oh, and looks like a little bit of fallback there. I think it was the Canadian Shiloh Rousseau. She got tangled at the back of the group. Canada goes with the quartet of Shiloh Rousseau first, Pascal Paradis second, Benita Pfeiffer third, and Nadia Moser fourth in the United States, as we talked about. They're going to go out the first leg with Dieter Irwin, their most experienced biathlete and highest watermark. She finished 7th at the Olympic Games 4 years ago in Beijing in the individual. Joanne Reed, who has taken hiatus from the sport this last 4 years but has come back strong, she'll go second to qualify for the Olympic team, and Lucy Anderson will go third, Margie Fried fourth. That was a strong combination last week where they finished sixth, going with Irwin first. And they had Lucy Anderson go second. They're making Lucy Anderson go third today instead. So switching the order just a little bit. The United States trying to maybe even find another spot up the rankings.
I look back at that collision there briefly, which did leave Shiloh Rousseau without a pole. She has now recovered herself and getting caught in it as well. The Americans just have to make their way around the outside as the clashing of the skis, which, Chad, it is no surprise considering just how pedestrian this first lap has been so far.
It is a very odd feeling flow to this course. It's very undulating and easy skiing, and then two big sharp hills up and down to come into the shooting range. But the shooting range is going to be the most friendly shooting range they've visited so far this year. Wind almost rarely picks up on this range, so you have to be fast on the range and clear.
Someone we know who can do that is Vanessa Voigt, and Jean-Monod, of course, on her day too. And it is Lou Jean-Monod who will lead coming into the first of the two shooting stages for these athletes on leg one. And you can see that Vanessa Voigt with a 98% prone accuracy. Germany wear bib number 4. Miss for Slovakia, Germany going well, 2 for 2 so far. Lou Jean-Monod has gone 3 for 3. Sweden catching up, a miss for Finland. And Germany clean and away, as are Norway, Sweden and France. Italy 2, Czechia, Austria 5 for 5. Bulgaria, Slovenia and Poland joining them with a perfect record. And Shiloh Rousseau, you have to say, Chan, recovering well to hit 5 out of 5 after that crash. And Finland still struggling with their first leg athlete, Inka Hämäläinen, the 20-year-old, struggling to get them down, and she will now break without going through the penalty loop.
A lot of pressure on Hämäläinen to stay with this group on this biathlon, on this relay. I think it's a really tough task, but it's probably the only place they really can put her. I like the way the Finns have stacked up their field. They're almost taking the Swedish approach. Hämäläinen's in 16th, but she's only 22 seconds back. If she's clean standing, she's going to put Finland in a good position, even though it feels like she's a lot of ways back on place. Here's the shooting of Voito, really solid in the center there. 10x hit. Oh, almost missed there at 4 o'clock, but every one of those shots before that were really solid.
I was about to say, apart from that final shot, Chad, that is, almost textbook prone shooting. You can't get much better than that, but she did get all 5 targets down despite that edge shot on the last, as Sunita Bolina, the final athlete, out of the penalty loop. As you say, 19 athletes or 19 teams on the start list today, and now the gaps will begin to open after coming through the range for the first time.
We got a wonderful audible sense of what it's like in Ruhpolding that time. As you could have closed your eyes and listened to the shooting rather than watched it, and you would have known that the Germans were doing well. You would have heard every single one of Vanessa Voigt's successful shots go down, and she gave them a lot to cheer about to open this Ruhpolding weekend.
So here is our leading pack, led by Lou Jean-Minot. Vanessa Voigt tucked in behind. No surprise, as always, to see Lou Jean-Minot out front, pushing the pace as well she so regularly likes to be. Lea Meyer leading the way for the Swiss team on the first leg, and they find themselves in an excellent position as she comes up into third.
Shooting times, Kulm shot the fastest. We saw Estonia get out of there very quickly. So she beat Vanessa Voigt for the fastest shooting time by 1.3 seconds. But 6 teams under 25 seconds, Skotheim being one of them. Jan Moreau, 24 seconds. Yuzlova of Czech Republic, 23 seconds. Meyer of Switzerland, 23 seconds. I think anything under 25 is considered pretty quick shooting from the prone position. So some athletes really pushing the time frame on their shooting. Dieter Irwin, 37 seconds. She had 2 extra rounds, though, so that's really great shooting for Dieter Irwin with 2 extra rounds.
Well, just look at this gap that's been opened up by Lou Jean-Minot as they came through the 2.9 kilometre mark, or just not too far ago. It was 3.3 seconds the gap between Lou Jean-Minot and Lea Meyer, and she has turned the screw, the French woman who leads the World Cup standings, and there is now quite the gap opening up as Voigt is trying to close the gap, but not to much avail as they continue to fight behind. But out front, Lou Jean-Minot wanting to take this on herself, Chad.
Yeah, the first lap, I think Jean-Minot was comfortable staying behind Voigt, but now I think she realized that her advantage to get some time in front and buy some cushion for anybody who might have a problem later in the race. It's a good strategy to go if you can and use your energy to separate yourself from the rest of the field. And Johanna Skotheim feels like she wants to keep Sweden in it, and she's right. She's got to be up near the front if she wants to solidify her spot, at least to make the Olympic team, and then maybe to compete in the relay for a medal on her Olympic team.
So now a 7.2 second advantage for Lou Jean-Minot. That's exactly where she likes to be, and watch out, how many times have we seen it? Lou Jean-Minot creates the gap on the first lap and no one is able to close it.
Yeah, this is confidence, and she knows that it's not a huge effort. She's going to have a day off tomorrow when the men compete. It's not going to take much out of her personal focus of the Ruhpolding weekend, and just kind of flexing her muscle right now, which is fun to see.
Well, they'll have high expectations going into the Olympic Games, this French quartet, back-to-back world champions, but they haven't won an Olympic title since they did so the first time the women's relay was introduced in 1992, and that was on home snow as well. Last Olympic Games they finished 6th, but they will be the team who has the target on their back owing to those last 2 World Championship wins, Chad. They
will, for sure, and everybody's going to be shooting for them, and you just have to kind of keep your cool when you know that, when you're the hunted. It's never terribly fun to be hunted, but as long as you are used to the situation, you should be fine.
So an incredibly still range as the athletes pull up side by side for the first standing shoot of the day, and it is Lou Jean-Minot who has the advantage. Voigt in behind her. That's incredible accuracy replicated in the stand. Can she keep it going today? 92% she holds so far, but France flying. Lou Jean-Minot almost finished by the time the others start, and she will be away. 10 out of 10 for Lou Jean-Minot, a perfect way to start this relay. Sweden catching up. Johanna Skotheim, that's excellent shooting, and Sweden will now jump into second.
Put that in your book and score it. Johanna Skotheim doing exactly what she needs to make the Swedish Olympic team. Kudos to her. She has her team 7.9 seconds out of the lead, and Estonia Kulm with a clean shooting puts Estonia third, Gantler fourth for Austria. Voigt in good position, 13.9 seconds back. She's done her job. She's in 5th, and she might even lose some time on this last lap, but she has done what she came to do. As is Alcantara in 8th, 18.8 seconds back. It's a little bit of a gap, But that is a surmountable gap for the rest of the Italian group.
And Slovenia avoids the penalty loop. They can. Ripinch now away, having to drop into the extra rounds and left no room to manoeuvre with that final shot.
Skottheim with a 21.2 second shooting. She's only surpassed by Kulm of Estonia in 20.6 and Dmitrenko of Ukraine in 20.5. But of the favorite teams on today, Skottheim gains the most on the shooting range, but gains just 2 seconds on Lou Jean-Minot. Jean-Minot pretty quick in her own right. Look at this shooting.
Well, she is a force to be reckoned with when she's dialed in, Lou Jean-Minot. Voigt losing just a bit of time, but still perfect in the range as you'd expect from someone with her record this season. Germany down in 5th as they leave the range.
Norway sitting a little bit further back there with less experienced Johansson on the first leg. Marta Krokstad Johansson, 27-year-old, but she has only competed in 30 World Cups, which is still a lot, but it's not the kind of experience we normally see on a Norwegian first leg. And she's done a good job. She's 20.3 seconds back, but now she has to ski just a little bit faster than she's used to skiing. She's 1% slower than the average pace of the field on average for the season. So Krokstad Johansson has a little bit of work cut out for her in the Norwegian leg one.
And real outliers through this first lap. You can see there Estonia now up to 2nd, and they will hand over to Regina Ermits next, who's been having a great season so far and has shown her ability, particularly in the pursuits, to climb well, and has laid down some really good performances, smashing her personal best this season. And it is Susan Kurlum of Estonia who's in 2nd, Skottheim in 3rd. Now Gandler of Austria up to 4th, Ockentire in 5th, as Voigt sits in 6th, and well, the Germans have some work to do. They're desperate to end up on the podium once again here on home snow this season.
But just 30 seconds separating the 1st through 12th teams. The United States comes through 29.5 seconds back. 30 seconds is still well in reach of everybody. It just depends on how strong your quartet is from here on out. And looking at the teams here, I think Gondler and Alcantara are doing outsized work, as is Kulm for their nations compared to their pedigree. And Skottheim is absolutely ringing the bell. Got to feel good for her. She's had a lot of rough days in the past, and this is not one of them. Skottheim delivering for Sweden from leg one. It's exciting for her.
Estonia have never finished on the podium on the World Cup. Their best result is 4th. They've had a 7th place finish as well. They'll be desperate to write their own history, but it is Lou Jean-Minot who's ensuring so far that the record stays the same for France. An advantage of 6.1 seconds though over Susan Kurlum, and well, you can see Anna Gandler as well doing great work for Austria.
Yeah, Gandler, and just looking at that hill, Gandler and Alcantara look like they're in great shape today. They're throwing down a better ski performance than we're used to seeing from them, and that is going to be a great start for both those teams. They need that. They're the teams that have struggled in the first legs, trying to find the person to keep them near the front for the big superstars to take over. And Italy and Sweden are now sitting where they've always wanted to. They've got France they're chasing out front, who is expected, and they've got a little bit of time now, 10 seconds on the Norwegians, do the Italians and the Swedes.
And Gesblom will be up next for Sweden. It's the first time that she's on a women's relay since returning from injury at the start of the season.
Nice to see Gesblom back. She's had shoulder problems for the better part of a year and a half now. And trying to get back into the form that had her near the top of the world when that problem began.
So into the first exchange they come, and it will be France who hand over first, with Lou Jean-Minot passing the baton off to Ocean Michelon, finished 3rd in the sprint in Östersund. No podium since then. With 9th in the sprint in Oberhof, finishing 11th in the pursuit. Italy handing over in 2nd, Austria 3rd, Estonia, a great first lap from them. They sit in 4th, with Sweden and Germany just over their shoulder. Czechia looking to climb as well. Work to be done by the Norwegians, Chad.
Yes, but they've got the capacity to do it. Uni Arniklev coming off the IBU Cup. She's one of the best athletes on the IBU Cup. She gets a start today. Also sort of a nod for her to try to get a chance to go to the Olympic Games, but it's probably it's going to be a steep uphill battle for her to do that. But Lisa Theresa Hauser going out second for Austria. I'm kind of surprised at that layout for Austria, putting Gantler first and Hauser second. They'll finish up with Anna Andexer and Anna Juppe, ranked 41st and 58th in the World Cup respectively. It's a bold strategy to put Lisa Theresa Hauser out second, and it might be because they expected the second leg to be the strongest leg of the rest of the field. Yet most teams didn't put their best athletes in the second leg, as it turns out. These coaches, when they turn in their relay cards, they don't really know what the other teams are doing. So there's some strategy you have to consider. And a lot of times these teams send some of their best athletes out second. Austria is doing that, but she's kind of the power athlete of this front field in leg 2.
Yeah, a brilliant battle. You can see them side by side there on the second leg. Lisa Hauser, who missed out in Oberhof, she's back. Of course, had that excellent win in Östersund in the pursuit, and just in front of her, Dorothea Viera, also returning after taking time away from Oberhof. Of course, we know that Dorothea Viera, Chad, this is such an important season for her. Her last start on the World Cup, and of course the Olympic Games on home snow in just a couple of weeks' time. It was never a surprise to see her take the time out to rest last week.
No, but I have to say that I think she handles it so well. I think that if you look at her demeanor and where she is, like just with her attitude. And I should point out, I said Hauser was the power athlete. I think that Dorothea Viera is actually the power athlete of the second leg, and arguably Oceane Michelin as well. But Dorothea Viera, one of her strengths throughout her career is downplaying the focus on her from the media. She loves to play with the media. She's very well versed in social media. She carries herself very well, and somehow she thrives off of it rather than feels pressure from it. And I think that's a great thing going into an Olympic Games at 35 years of age.
And it will be Julia Tannheimer, the 20-year-old who's first down that descent from this trailing pack behind Oceane Michelin, 8th in the sprint in Östersund. That was her best result of the season. Still no World Cup podiums. I say still none, Chad. I think there was a lot of pressure lumped on her by the German fans, expecting her to really catapult herself onto the scene. But 2 flower ceremonies last season. What do you want to see from her this season on the whole?
I think what she has to do is she's still got to just mature. She's very young, and you can see that she races maybe a little more emotionally than she needs to at this point. It's going to come. I think the patience is the big thing for the German fans, for the coaches, and for Tannheimer herself. I think she just has to realize that she's quite a bit younger. She's got the ski speed. That's the thing. You need that to start to launch any kind of career. She just is a little too frantic on the shooting range still, and as she gets better and ages and gets more wise and gets a little bit more Dorothea Viera in her, she will emerge to the top of the field. She's clearly there. Those of us who follow the sport know that Tannheimer is a star. She just is having a hard time at 20 years of age to prove it yet.
Well, there's the debrief from the first leg for France, Lou-Jean Minot, and the gap has cut as Oceane Michelin makes her way through this first lap and back into the stadium, and will shortly arrive in the range for shooting 3. Of course, the prone position first up for these on leg number 2. Tannheimer in second, just 4.1 seconds behind, and you can see there, Chad, the German has her eyes burning into the back of Michelin.
Yeah, I like the composure so far of Tannheimer. We got to see what happens in the shooting range, but she's certainly got the speed. I mean, I think she's very exciting because I think once she figures out biathlon, and she will, she's been doing it long enough. But Tannheimer, again, her shooting percentages are 77% and 72%. She just can't launch a realistic bid at being one of the best in the world with those shooting statistics, and we just got to give her time. She'll figure it out.
The junior world champion in the individual in 2024 in Otapa, and then also took the silver in the sprint that year as well, Julia Tannheimer, after the gold medal relay winning team on the junior World Championships in 2024 as well. She has the experience, it's just translating that to the top flight. And well, you can see that Dorothea Viera holds the advantage in terms of the hit rate in the prone position, but it is Oceane Michelon who led into the range. It's Italy who gets started quickly, and it's very quick from Dorothea Viera. She's already 3 down, that's 4. All perfect so far. Dorothea Viera, exceptional from the Italian, who will hold a decent lead here. Oceane Michelon stumbling at the first and now trying to reload her rifle. Norway away, the gap closed well by Arne Kleiv. Czechia moving well. Austria keeping pace. Now France can leave the range. Tannheimer finally breaks the position as well, and Estonia still in the mix.
Great performance by Arne Kleiv to put Norway in second. Sharvatova, the late revelation, having a great shooting performance compared to her long career. She has Czechia in third. Just great stuff to see late career stuff from Sharvatova like this, where she's clean from a prone position, and Hauser very quickly on the shooting as well. But Viera's time, 20.8 seconds. That is a good standing shoot rather than prone. She has just under 3 second faster shooting time than second fastest Arne Kleiv. That is really quick.
Well, she settled herself so quickly, and that's only something that experience and the repetitions can give you, because she was already 2 down, 3 down by the time Oceane Michelon took her first and second shots, and of course the first a miss, and that has dropped France down the order. But just picking up on what you said about Czechia, Chad, Sharvatova, well, she loves the second leg, doesn't she? The last time that the Czechia team won a podium, and actually on the top of the podium, was the 2015-16 season, the race in the USA that season, and she was on the second leg that day, and well, is so strong in that position. And now Czechia up to third, Norway second, as well, Austria just making their way with Lisa Hauser around the inside of Sharvatova. But it is the Italians who lead second on the opening race of the season. Chad, could they go one further today and take the victory?
Absolutely. They're right in it right now, and I think that with the shooting that we just saw from Dorothea Viera, the biggest thing they have to do is they have to get the final leg. They got to get to the final leg intact near the front of the field. They got to get through Michela Carrara, who is a 59% prone shooter and 72% standing shooter in leg 3. That's easy. Carrara is plenty fast. In fact, Carrara is the fastest skier of the Italian quartet. She's faster than Vitozzi and Dorothea Viera this season, but the issue is the relay really comes down to not using a lot of extra rounds, especially, and definitely avoiding the penalty if you're going to use those extra rounds. So that's Italy's task in leg 3. They've got their ace in the ace in leg number 2 here, and she leads.
Well, you can see that Oceane Michelon closing the gap. She's on the back of this leading group now. Just 2.9 seconds behind the time of the leader, Dorothea Viera, as they go through 8.9 kilometres. Remember, 6 kilometres for each of the athletes on each of the legs. 2 kilometre laps, 2 shooting stages, all adding to the drama here on the opening day of racing in Ruhpolding.
It's amazing the tightness of this relay. We just saw the tightest relay from the men ever in history last week, with 5 teams in 5 seconds. It's just incredibly tight. This race now in the second leg, just 8.6 seconds separating the top 7, 9.8 separating the top 8. Then a gap to Becerga from Switzerland in 9th, and Reed and Paradia from the United States and Canada, respectively, 35 and 36 seconds back. But this is a very tight race already to this point. These teams, not a lot of degree of separation. And when you get on a shooting range like Ruhpolding and a course like Ruhpolding, there's not a lot of places to make the time. The ranges are relatively easy approach. There's rarely any wind. It's just basically nerves at this point on this venue. And they've been tested by the wind all season long. Oberhof was a huge test of the shooting skill of every one of these athletes. It's kind of a nice little respite here in Ruhpolding. You just kind of get on a range you can kind of go on autopilot and do what you've trained to do all summer.
Well, for so many reasons. This is a course, a stop on the World Cup that everyone wants to race at, everyone wants to come here because of what you can see as they make their way down this descent, and the temporary stand, and then the fans that on a Wednesday afternoon, packing out the stadium, Chad. Well, it already makes you excited. I know we love a relay, but it already makes you excited for the weekend and the individual competitions where there'll be double the crowd here.
Yeah, you just kind of think that, like, you think you're going to see, Dorothy Vera, a little bit of a slip there, and you can see Ocean Michelin react really quickly. But the crowd already on a Wednesday, I mean, I remember seeing Ruhpolding races in the middle of the week where you'd run an individual and there'd be, not a lot of people in the stands. Now it's just become so popular, it just keeps growing in popularity. Like, there's a lot of people calling in sick today in Munich. There has to be with all the people here at this Biathlon World Cup relay. And I think the fact that we start with a relay on a Wednesday and a Thursday, it's just drawing more and more people every year, and the ticket sales just keep going through the roof. It's a huge boom to the economy of this small village, Ruhpolding, just about 8 kilometers from the actual venue.
Well, there's some extra costumes in the stands, and I never thought about using that as a distraction if you are sneaking out of work on a Wednesday afternoon to come and watch some exceptional biathlon here in Ruhpolding. And there is a quick look at the hit rate in the standing position. We've already seen Dorothea Vera, who stands on position number 2 here with, textbook prone shooting. Can she back it up in the stand? Starts with a hit, then there's a miss. Who can take advantage as she fires through the next 3, is into the extra rounds, but then so are Norway, Austria. Currently the big winners with Lisa Theresa Hauser, and she will be away, but it will be Dorothea Vera who recovers so quickly. Tannheimer moving well.
You heard the crowd. Tannheimer went 5 for 5. She absolutely destroyed that shooting performance. Tannheimer takes lead for Germany now. She was the one I was worried about, 72% standing. She comes through and nails them almost at the speed of the great Italian Dorothea Vera, and leads her by just a half a second now on the last lap of the second leg. What a performance by Tannheimer.
Well, disappointing return to the range for Ocean Michelin. She has a total of 3 misses from her 2 visits, and you could see Justine Bressard-Boucher preparing as they make their way out around one final lap. It will be Bressard-Boucher who's next up for France, who have work to do. They sit in 8th as we look to the chasing and trailing pack. The USA away, our focus on Finland.
There's Joanne Reed now coming through. She'll keep the United States in the top 11, just 5 seconds back of North American counterpart Canada. Pascal Paradis going for them. But there you see the problems with, it looks like Michelin pretty quick with the reloads. In fact, very impressive extra round use there by Michelin. Look at the quickness with which she did that. That's very quick shooting using the extra rounds. But Tannheimer really an outsized performance by her in bib number 4. 22.2 seconds, the third fastest time on the shooting range, and Tannheimer has the home German crowd in her palm of her hand now in this last loop. And she should be able to outski everybody in this picture here. She is a stronger skier than everybody that is with her, statistically, at least this year.
Well, we were mentioning just before we came on air, Chad, that if the Germans can hand over to Janina Hettich-Volz, who's been in excellent form on the skis, they could be in with such a good chance. Franziska Preuss coming back into some really good form with a 5th in the sprint and the pursuit in Oberhof, her best results of the season so far. And of course, she loves to compete here on her home course. And Tannheimer doing, well, a huge amount of the work to make sure that Germany hand over in the best position possible with 2 legs left to go. Well, it's Ocean Michelin who's having to really fight up this hill to ensure that France aren't too far behind.
No, Michelin has done a good job of damage control with those 3 misses from the stand, because she shot very quickly. She loaded the extra rounds well. She only left the shooting range 15 seconds back, but she's struggling a little bit now as Tannheimer puts a little bit of effort, puts a bigger effort. You see Lisa Theresa Hauser getting tangled by, and she must have crossed her skis with Sharvatova, it looked like. But Tannheimer really starting to, she's going to remember this. This is the kind of performance that Tannheimer needed to get confidence, to believe she's of this level, because this is an absolutely world-class performance by her, and she's actually got Italy a little bit on the ropes as she forces the pace at the front of the field. But Dorothea Vera, she's got good form as well, and you can see that Tannheimer almost pulled away on the last uphill. Now Dorothea Vera saying, nothing doing, youngster. I'm right with you here.
Well, hasn't that just been the story of Dorothea Vera's season so far? Still proving that she can compete with those who are 16 years younger than her.
Tannheimer's still leading at 11.4, but we're just 0.7 of a second behind her. Sharvatova's fighting too, 1 second back. And Lynn Gasblom having a great performance for Sweden. 2 extra rounds for her. They come to exchange number 2.
And there is Michaela Kolala, and I'm sure we'll get a look down the line here of who's waiting. And Elvira Urberg will be there, and then she'll hand over to her sister Hannah. And Chad, well, you look at this in the position that Lynn Gasblom has kept Sweden in now. They're huge contenders, the reigning Olympic champions, who have got to win this season. They were first in Hochfilzen, 5th in Oberhof. It was far from a perfect day for them, but then you look at what the Urberg sisters have done in the last couple of weeks individually. They come into this in a great position.
They do. I think the one thing that doesn't work in their favor is this course just isn't that hard. It's not a very hard ski course. Tannheimer's pulling a little bit of time. If this had been Oberhof, Tannheimer might have gotten a bigger gap than she's gotten so far, just with her ability to ski fast, but this course is so fast, and there's just not a lot of spaces to make that gap. So everybody should be able to be a little bit closer to Sweden for that reason, but the Urberg sisters are currently coming into form, and when they do, they're absolutely formidable.
As we saw in both the Rombonat and of course in Oberhof, where we saw the first Urberg sister podium since 2023, of course outside of the relays, and it is Sweden who hand over first, Germany in second, Italy third, Michaela Kolala on this third and penultimate leg for them, Norway fifth, Czechia an excellent day so far in fourth, Austria sixth, Estonia 7th, and now we see France hand over in 8th. Oceane Michelon passing the baton on to Justine Braissard-Boucher and the back-to-back world champions, Chad. They've got plenty of work to do.
They're back 16.8 seconds. It's not, or excuse me, 15.5 seconds. It's not that much time. Especially Justine Braissard-Boucher, she's got that on the ski power, but again, she's up against Uber from Sweden, which is very tough to make time on. So if you just kind of hadn't kept the skiing alone, Braissard-Boucher is a -6 to the field as far as percent faster. The Swede, Uber, she's 4%, so she's she's 2% slower than the French woman. But it really comes down to shooting range proficiency, the hits, and the time spent on the range. Teams that are really at a disadvantage here in your picture are the Czech team and the Italian team, with Carrara having very low shooting marks in terms of accuracy, and the Czech athlete going third is Teresa Vobornikova. She's right down the middle, 88% shooting, 87% standing, prone and standing, and -1 skiing. She can hang with this group. She just has to sit at the back and not do any of the work and try to keep them in fighting position. But we normally would expect Marketa Davidova to be the fourth leg for Czechia. They've got Teresa Vinklarova, who has no World Cup points yet this year, going last, and she is the +5 ski time. So the Czechs, I think the first 3 Czechs are just trying to show what they can do at the Olympic Games with the absence of their superstar Marketa Davidova on the start list today.
Here's Karolina Knopsen of Norway. It's her third relay appearance of the season.
Just looking back at leg 2, Lucia Sharvatova, the fastest leg time of leg 2. That's good for her. Arne Klev clocks in second, 2.4 seconds slower than Sharvatova. That will give the Norwegian coaching staff something to think about for the Olympic. Tannheimer, third, 3.8 seconds slower than Sharvatova. So those are your leg times from leg number 2.
You have to say as well, an excellent job, we've already mentioned it, done by Lynn Gasblom, her first time in competing in the women's relay since returning from injury at the start of the season, and well, the big reason why Elvira Urberg finds herself in first, coming through the 12.9 kilometre mark, and you can see that they're really not separated by much, and already the gap has been closed significantly by Braissard-Boucher, Chad.
I think Braissard-Boucher will get onto this group. The question is, can she hold the shooting together with the composure and effort that Elvira Urberg is putting at the front? Urberg not really forcing the pace yet. I think she knows exactly what I've said about this course, that she knows where she probably has to make the time, and she's got to stay clean on the range if she wants to give a lead to her sister for the final leg. And then she has to absolutely try to blow the doors off the field in the final lap. And she's not necessarily a sprinter, but over 2 kilometers, she can really put the hurt to the rest of the field if she's in her top form. That's kind of her style of competing. And if she doesn't have that ski speed, then everybody's going to be right with them.
So Justine Braissard-Boucher to the front of the trailing 4. And this is the leading group of 4. Hedvig Volts out front after taking the inside line around that last corner to find herself ahead of Elvira Urberg.
Well, Janine Hedvig Volts was before last season when she took a year off to give birth to her first child. She was known for her shooting prowess, and not so much for her skiing prowess. But right now, she's the fastest German that they have. She and Julia Tannenheim are both the fastest skiers statistically. But she's 91% prone, which is a carryover from her reputation before. But her standing shooting is struggling. She's only 73% standing shooting. Not sure why that is, but very interesting that she is now kind of one of the top skiers rather than the top shooters.
So 4 become 8. As the 2 packs combine to go around this first lap of our third leg.
Hedvig Volts, she's 3% worse than 2 seasons ago. She's 86% shooter there, but she's increased 2% on her ski speed. That's the kind of thing that changes the trajectory, and you actually kind of just have to adjust to that when you can ski that fast. It looks like Shavata maybe having something bothering her with her leg. She's all done though. She doesn't have to worry about it just for today. You just have to look to the future and make sure that she's healthy for the Olympic Games. There's nothing greater than leading into Oberhof, or not Oberhof, into Ruhpolding as a German in the relay. This is a huge honor for Hedvig Volts and a chance she may never get again. So she's got a chance to put Germany on the podium on the top rung as they lead. First shooting stage of leg 3.
And you can see that German fans, of course, delighted to welcome her in, and it does come with the advantage that she leads the standings on this leg in terms of prone shooting hit rate, 91%, as they all drop down into the position side by side, 8 together in this leading pack. Misfit Knotten of Norway, and now for Hedvig Volts. France going well with Brassard Boucher, Czechia flying, and it will be the Czechs who are away. Sweden perfect as well. France and Justine Brassard-Boucher doing her work in the range as well as on the skis, and it will be France who go into second as they come out of shooting 1 of this third leg on the women's relay here in Ruhpolding.
Not sure why Marketa Davidova didn't show up on the start list. I noticed that, but they're going to kind of wish they had her today at full strength, because right now the Czechs are leading by just a half a second. But anytime the Czechs are leading in any relay, you want to finish up with Marketa Davidova and maybe bring that win home. But not likely to do it with their fourth leg skier today. But still, what a great experience it'll be for Teresa Vinklarkova if she can stay. The Czechs can stay in the lead and she gets the tag in first.
Well, delight from the French fans in the crowd, and it's exactly what you'd have expected from the reigning sprint world champion. And it is now Justine Brassard-Boucher who just eases into the lead. Elvira Urberg following her through, with Bornikova dropping back into third.
Bornikova was the fastest shooter on that shooting stage, 23.4 seconds. Brassard-Boucher was third fastest, 25.5 seconds, giving up 2 seconds to the Czech athlete.
Julia Simon going on the final leg for France after finding herself back in form. First podium of the season in the sprint in Oberhof.
Yeah, one of the things about the statistics we get on the ski speed is that if you come in with a slow first weekend like Simone did when she rejoined the World Cup in Hochfilzen, her statistics on skis looks a little bit skewed to slower than she actually is. Last weekend she was absolutely at the top of the field on her ski form, even though she's still only registering her statistics to be a bit slower over the course of the season. That average needs some time to change. But I don't think the ski statistics for Simone right now are accurate to what she's capable of today. And I think France is in a very good position to take the win. But it could be very tight. The French and the Swedes all together at the front of the field, and you got Germany and Norway right in tow there as well. Talked about the weakness of the fourth leg for Czechia. but right now Bornikova doing a great job. And look at Austria. Austria's hanging tough here with Anna Andexer, 22-year-old, keeping them in the mix as well. They will hand off to Anna Juppe, 26-year-old, for the final leg.
Well, we have one incredible final leg in store. Malin Chikaida of Norway, third now in the World Cup standings after a tough pursuit day in Oberhof. But she's, of course, made an excellent start to the season, the only Norwegian to stand on the podium individually this season. Julia Simon, who we've already mentioned, Hannah Urberg as well. Franziska Preuss for Germany. Well, the battle will be on when we get to that final lap.
Well, Czech skis are really good there. But Bornikova didn't want to take the lead, so she actually stood up and didn't scrub her speed, but just let the air kind of slow her down. She clearly sees that she's got better skis than the two people she's skiing with. So great job to the technicians of Czechia today.
And it's evident to see with Czechia performing so well. They sit in third, Lisa Vitozzi as well, the 23-24 season total score winner going on the final leg.
Carrara using 3 extra rounds and doing her job so far today for the Italians. So shooting score is quite good at this point in the competition. France at 3 extra rounds, Sweden at 2. The Czechs have not missed a shot yet. That explains a lot. And they're amongst the leaders. And the thing is, you don't really even need superstars if you keep it clean like that.
No, the Austrians perfect as well in 7th with Anna Andexer. An ultimate leg. And here is Franziska Preuss, Chad, getting closer and closer back to that form, the sensational form that we saw her in last season. And of course, well, you imagine it won't be too long until we see her back on the podium if the last couple of weeks of improvements are anything to go by.
Well, I think it's coming. Yeah, she's toying with that podium. 2 fifth places in Oberhof. It's a solid weekend, and her ski speed is back. That's the biggest thing, is that she's got the ski ability back, and that is the foundation of all biathlon. If you don't have the speed to stay with the leaders, it's really tough to win.
Of course, Franziska Preuss struggling with illness, as did Elvira Urberg, who sits in 2nd, coming into this final visit to the range for the athletes on the 3rd leg. Enormous striking in Östersund, and it has taken time for both of them, and of course Selina Glottian as well, to recover.
This is a big shooting stage here. If you can get separation and force somebody to miss and stay clean, get a gap here, your chance of taking the win just increases ever so slightly on this 3rd leg final stage.
Miss for Elvira Urberg. France moving well with Brassard Boucher. She now has a miss. The door swings open for Czechia. And Bornikova keeps up the perfect record for Czechia in this race so far. They've been sensational in the range. Another miss for Brassard Boucher. Can anyone from the trailing pack take advantage? Misses wherever you look, apart from with Czechia, who are away with a sizable advantage. Now, Italy can make their way out to the range. I was going to say they had an advantage here, but they've been matched well by Austria and now Sweden, and this has to go down for Brassard Boucher, and it does. And now France can make their way out of the range, but just look, Chad, at the advantage that Bornikova and Czechia have over Carolina Knotten of Norway. 16.1 seconds. It
might not be enough of a gap for the Czechians, for Czechia to take the victory, but they could find themselves on the podium still, with Winklerkova going last, the least tested of their quartet. But it's an exciting position for them to be in. And Carrara has really done her job for Italy. Right now, you've got Lisa Vitozzi going last for Italy against Hannah Urberg. And for Norway, going out last will be Maren Chikaida. That is a prize billing for a final leg in a women's relay. That's going to be some great performances coming up here in the last 6 kilometers of the race.
Well, we were tipping it as they came into the range, just the names who will come out on this final leg. And, well, that shooting has really switched it all around. But just a word on the Czechia team and their shooting today, Chad. They have not put a foot wrong, and they still hold a perfect record going into the final leg.
That's an amazing performance to come in and clean all their targets so far. And, you know, it just shows you that you may not even need your superstar. If the final leg skier, Teresa Vinklakova, can keep it together with clean shooting, they can win today. Her best ever individual performance, and just to put it in perspective, her personal best in World Cup competition for the final leg of Czechia is 29th. Right? That's not her average, that's her best. So if you compare that to who she's going to go up against, 15 seconds probably isn't enough of a gap.
And it is a gap that you imagine as well, Chad, as you look back to the chasing three will close, and of course Brassard Boucher will be putting the work in to put France in the best position after a really challenging standing shoot.
Yeah, it's challenging, but she's still, again, they're not far out. 26 seconds. There's enough time to make up. Just on the ski speed, I think the difference between the final leg, Julia Simon, and the Czech athlete who will go last, that's not huge. The big gap is that you have to watch is between Brassard Boucher and Knotten by the time the exchange comes. Norway wants that to be as big as possible. But this is the woman of the day so far. Teresa Vobornikova, the entire Czech team, but Vobornikova rising to the level of her first two legs. Jessica Yuzlova and Lucy Sharvato, who has waited for a long career. She's 32 years of age and has consistently shot poorly from the standing position. She's turning that around. She's turning that around this year, and it's remarkable what it does for the Czech relay teams.
Went to her personal results as well, because 6th in the pursuit in Östersund, that was her best result in over 5 years. And of course, as you say, Chad, you can see that then mirrored. But well, just look at how quickly this gap is now closing. Vobornikova coming up to the 17.4 kilometre mark, and I don't think she'll be the first to break the line as Carrara comes towards that time check. You can see the tall board to the right-hand side of your screen, and it will be Michaela Carrara who is doing absolutely everything to put Lisa Vitozzi in the best position possible on the final lap. But she is watched, she is marked from behind. Clipping at her heels is Elvira Öberg, who'll be handing over to her sister Hannah. Chad, this is thrilling. It's exactly what we want to see.
Well, the great thing is that we don't ever get to see Michaela Carrara on the screen skiing like she's been skiing all season, because her shooting has kept her out of our pictures. But now we're getting a sense of just how strong she is. She is the strongest Italian skier on the snow, and she's actually put a little bit of pain into Elvira Öberg up that climb. Öberg skis maybe just a tad better on this downhill, but for the most part, Carrara looks spectacular. She looked better than Elvira Öberg skiing in that last set of pictures.
Well, as you were saying earlier, Chad, this is the Italian quartet from race day number 1 in the relay in Östersund, and it was a beautiful interview after that between Dorota Avila and Michaela Carrara, the first time that she'd stepped up onto the podium in the World Cup in the relay, and Dorota Avila couldn't quite believe it. It was a really lovely interview. Can it be another day today when Michaela Carrara finds herself on top of the podium, or on the podium in any manner? She's side by side now with Elvira Öberg as they come into exchange. Italy and Sweden side by side. It will be the Italians who are doing everything to hand over first, and it will be the 23-24 season total score winner in Lisa Vitozzi who will take over for Italy. Hannah Öberg picking up the charge for the Swedes. Vinklakova of Czechia. Keep your eyes on where the Czechia team fall. They've been perfect so far. Look at their record in the range. No missed targets. And Franziska Preuss, the roar from the Germans as she makes her way out onto the course. They're in 6th, but crucially, Chad, it's only 13.1 seconds behind. It's
still anybody's race. You've got Preuss for Germany going out in the last leg. For France, you've got Julia Simon. For Norway, you got Maren Kierkegaard. Poor Czechia athlete Teresa Vinklakova has a superstar studded field all around her, and they're going to I think they're going to swallow her up, and just she's going to have a hard time swimming in the deep end here with these athletes, because this is an amazing last leg of athletes, and I'm just going to sit back and enjoy it. It's going to be great final leg here in this women's relay.
And skipping up the hill there, Franziska Preuss with that pop in her skis.
Brassard Boucher with the fastest leg 3 time, and then the Carrara. You really have to tip your hat to Carrara, and that just shows you what the Italians can do in this relay going into the Olympics. It's terribly exciting where they're where the chances are. And we haven't seen this team for a while because of sickness or sitting out races in Oberhof. Both Lisa Vitozzi and Dorothy, they're choosing to train last week and not compete in Oberhof, and now they are absolutely, the Italians are on form today.
So Lucy Anderson picks up or puts down the baton. Margie Freed on this final leg for the USA. As we go back to the front of the field, and Lisa Vitozzi marked by Hannah Oberg. And here is Julia Simon in those traditional short sleeves. We so regularly see her. You know it's cold if Julia Simon is wearing the full-length kit.
So let's just look at the exchange. Simone was 15 seconds back of the leaders, but now she's caught Sweden. She was trailing Sweden by... Well, Sweden was the leader, so she's trailing Sweden, leaving the shooting range by 15 seconds. She's already made that up, or close to it. You see Simone just at the back of this leading group of 4. And you have to, we've seen her blow up so many times in the last leg with her anaerobic power that she can exhibit when she's in great form. She's got to really watch that this first lap. I think she's out just a little too hot. And she should try to make some of that time up, in my opinion, a little bit more on the shooting range. Just don't rally so early and cause your body to go into that anaerobic state, that power that you can access so easily, because it might end up being her nemesis on the final lap.
Well, the dream position for the Italians to be in. You can see that written on the faces of the coaches who watch on in the range.
Yeah, the Italian skis are good. You can see it. You saw it on Lisa Vitozzi there too. We saw it on Carrara coming down that hill. So I'll have whatever the Italians are having today on their skis. And Vitozzi looking very confident. This is quite a battle. You know, Maren Chickheid has a lot of confidence, 22 years of age, less experience. Hannah Oberg, though, her confidence has been very brittle the last few years. Finding her confidence last weekend in Oberhof again, but in this head-to-head battle, I feel like Vitozzi has the advantage just in the calm way she does biathlon, just kind of handicapping it from my own armchair perspective. I think that this situation might lead in favor of Vitozzi and Simone, actually, if Simone just doesn't push too much more earlier this first loop.
9.8 seconds, the gap back to Franziska Preuss in 6th. From Lisa Vitozzi, who leads the way in the light blue of Italy, going into a home Olympic Games, returning from the back injury that kept her out for all of last season. She'd have loved to capitalise on the momentum taken through the 23-24 season, that excellent battle with Lou Jean Monod, the total score.
You got Austria in there as well. Anna Juppe, she's 19.5 seconds back, all by herself. After Juppe, it's basically just wasteland. It's another minute, almost a minute to Lynn Hackey Gross Switzerland. So Anna Juppe, she's not in a good position to necessarily win this race for Austria, but she could get them on the podium with all the pressure amongst these top 5. She just sits back, a few seconds back, and does her own thing over the next 2 shooting stages. She could put Austria on this podium still.
Well, Austria have never stood on the podium in the World Cup in a relay. 4th in the World Championships in Lenzerheide. We've had 2 4th-place finishes across all top-flight competitions. 5th or 5 5th places, and 7 times they've finished 6th. But never stood on the podium, and well, she can stay cool, calm and collected and just do her job. The window, it may open up for Anna Juppe of Austria, but here leading 5 drop down into the prone position. Franziska Preuss with the best record as she now joins the action just on the end. It's France and Italy have made good starts. A miss for Hannah Oberg, and that's 2 misses now, and Sweden will tumble down the order as Lisa Vitozzi is away, and it will be the Italians who lead, pursued by Julia Simon of France, Germany and Franziska Preuss 5 for 5. And hear the roar.
My apologies to Hannah Oberg when I first guessed, but I was right. And she's struggling just a little bit. I think the mental pressure, there's a huge amount of mental pressure on that shooting stage, and you could just feel it when you watch them come in. They knew the gravity of this. With the Olympics just looming so close, we're inside 30 days of the Olympic Games. That is a huge pressure shooting situation, and Hannah Oberg folded just a little bit. She didn't, no disaster. She's still 21.1 seconds back. She can still redeem herself from standing, and she's done that so many times. In a lot of ways, this might be an okay thing for Hannah Oberg to be 21.1 seconds back if she can just do her own thing, and there's misses at the front on the final shooting stage. But right now, she's on the outside looking in.
Well, they have 3 relay wins in the top level of competition in biathlon. Their last win, the Italians, came in the World Championships in Oberhof. It was in 2022, and Lisa Vitozzi giving them the lead as they come out.
With
the penultimate shooting stage, but she does, Chad, have Julia Simon glued to the back of her.
Simone's trying to, she looks like she's kind of chomping at the bit to use her fitness, and that's good. But as I said, she's got to be very careful. We've seen her blow up so many times. She just did it last week in Oberhof. But Lisa Vitozzi, I have to point out, 19.2 seconds prone shooting time. That is so anything under 20 is miraculous from prone. Simone right there with her, 20.9, and then 2 seconds to Preuss and 22.5 seconds back. Minkinen, 23.4 back, or 23.4 seconds total shooting time. Those are some fast prone times.
Well, it's been a long time, it feels, since Lou Jean Monod's leg, the opening leg in this women's relay on the opening day of competition here in Ruhpolding. And, well, she has to sit back now and watch what will be a thrilling finish as France and Italy go head-to-head. But you can see the trailing 4 not too far behind as they go past the temporary stand.
Leading the penalty loop, it was Germany in third, 11.6 seconds back. And already Chirkaida has made up in 4 seconds on Preuss that she trailed. And Oberg right there with him as well. That is a strong ski pack chasing the 2 leaders. Preuss just kind of sitting in there, not really trying to chomp at the bit. Look at Hannah Oberg is trying to push a little bit past Chirkaida up this climb. And they've made up, looks like 3 of the seconds that they had in arrears to Simone Vitozzi.
Here's a grandstand finish on the cards once again.
A little bit of a ski advantage, maybe a little bit of a slingshot from the draft effect for Simone. The Italian skis have looked particularly good. I've just noticed every leg the Italians that I've seen, they come down that hill and glide out just a little further than everybody else. Vitozzi led down that hill though, so that gave Simone a little bit of a slingshot effect. Nothing massive, but just that every athlete is thinking about those things, those little things when you're trying to assess the situation. You know, you have to figure out, okay, do I have the skis to take this person? When do I go? How hard do I push now? How am I feeling with the shooting coming up? And the 4 chasers, including the Czech skier, Vinklarkova, still intact, trying to chase these 2 leaders down, and they look like they're making a little bit of time on them again. Yes, 6.4 seconds now. That's almost half of what they had from leaving the shooting range. So the 2 at the front maybe taking it, maybe dawdling it just a little bit to make sure that they have the composure to knock down the standing targets, and the 3 and 4 chasers are maybe hanging it out there just a little bit more, knowing that the time to win is drawing to a close here. The margins are so tight, though, just 7.6 seconds between first and fifth.
We can see the Italian trio who finished their race already, looking confident, and, well, of course, they would be when you have an athlete of the stature of Lisa Vitozzi on this final lap.
And these 2 are getting kind of close on the corners too. They're kind of almost stepping on each other. It's like, you know, guys, just take it easy. You got a lot of race left. You don't need to get the absolute best spot around the corner. But now that 11.6 second gap is pretty much erased. It's 6 seconds at the last time check. But now there's just looks like maybe 2 or 3 seconds between second and third, and this is going to be one hot pressure cooker they're skiing themselves into on this last shooting stage.
Well, this is really edge-of-your-seat stuff as they come into the grandstand here in Ruhpolding, one of the noisiest venues on the World Cup, and you can see just how packed out it is already on a Wednesday afternoon. But the fans have been treated, we've been treated, and can it all come down to the final lap? 5 athletes pulling up almost side by side as they come into the range for one final time here in the women's relay in Ruhpolding. Lisa Vitozzi and Julia Simon are the first to pull their rifles off their back. Malin Chirchiaida not too far behind, and of course Hannah Urberg there as well.
And for the mental advantage going into the Olympic Games right here.
Synchronised so far, a miss for Norway. Italy are away. And it is so good from Lisa Vitozzi. France won't be too far behind with Julia Simon. It's 2 misses for Germany, and the battle for the bronze will rage on, or will it? Because now Malin Chirchiaida can break the position. She'll be pursued by Hannah Urberg, and it's not the return to Ruhpolding that Franziska Preuss would have wanted.
It's just too high level of biathlon. She's going to go to the pen loop on top of it. You can see her legs are struggling a little bit. But Lisa Vitozzi with 18.1 seconds shooting. The cadence was off the charts. And that is how you win a relay. She didn't leave anything to give to anybody else. Lisa Vitozzi has the advantage, but it's still only 2.9 seconds and 11.4 to Chirchiaida. And then Urberg is just 2 seconds off, 2.2 seconds off the podium. This is still yet to be decided.
Well, a really challenging day for Franziska Preuss, who had battled to get into the mix on that final lap after the Italians and the French were so far ahead. Was there in the mix, but couldn't make the most of it, and it won't be a podium today for the Germans as we head back out to the front of the course, where the gap remains in favour of Lisa Vitozzi. But Julia Simon, we know how excellent she can be in these pursuit style races.
Well, she's got a big close. If she goes too early, we've seen her go too early and then get re-establish somebody as she starts to fade. Somebody go by her. But right now, Vitozzi is going to try to kind of not create a sprint to the finish, but a consistent high amount of power all the way to the finish, because she knows that if Julia Simon can catch her, that in the final 100 meters, Simone will be very hard to beat if they're together.
And here is the battle for the bronze, and it is between two bitter rivals, Norway and Sweden. And one athlete who started in excellent form this season in Malin Chirchiaida, and one who's coming into some great form in Hannah Urberg.
As of late,
I just eases round the outside.
As of late, I give Hannah Urberg the edge on the skiing. Chirchiaida slowed down a little bit in Oberhof, and she looks a little bit labored right now. Hannah Urberg looks a little more fresh. And actually, Julia Simon does not look like she's got the power left. I think that spurt she put on in lap number 1 is now costing her. It might cost her the podium too, as both Urberg and Chirchiaida now close in on Simon. But Vitozzi skiing away from Simon.
Well, keep your eyes on the time, and it has cut. And it looks visually there, Chad, you can see it. Maybe the angle slightly deceptive, but it does look like Julia Simon falling backwards.
She is. She's lost 4 seconds to Vitozzi. Vitozzi was leading by 3. It's now at 6. So 3.4 seconds.
And she doesn't want to find herself in the orbit of either of the two behind her. Urberg and Chirchiaida.
And if Simone gets caught by Sweden, what she wants to do is just try to keep an even pace from this point and try to stay with whoever comes by her. She needs to stay with them, not put in any surges, and leave that surge to the final 100 meters. Then I think she can still stay in this for a podium spot. But France in trouble now of being pushed right off the podium. And here they come. The jig is up.
And what a battle this is on the final lap. Keep your eyes on Lisa Vitozzi, because the momentum is with Hannah Urberg and Malin Chirchiaida. And now 6.5 seconds, the gap back to Chirchiaida of Norway.
Chirchiaida was 11 back after the shooting, and she's cut it in half. And can she get the other half of it? That's the question, as these two athletes, Hannah Urberg not quite able to hang with Chirchiaida. So Chirchiaida, my first guess wrong so far on that one, but the race is yet to be over. Meanwhile, Lisa Vitozzi knows it's tight. She knows they're chasing. This is a very unnervy place to be to take the win home for your team, but you'd rather be here than chasing.
Now the chasing team have really struggled through the last 12 months. No win on the World Cup circuit since Soldier Hollow in the 23-24 season, right at the end of that season when we took the World Cup over to North America.
Oh,
but the chase is on.
Gone.
And Malin Cierkajda, with that incredible finishing speed that she has, is putting all the pressure on the back of Lisa Vitozzi. We know she can close so incredibly quickly, the Norwegian, who is full of spirit and fight this season. Round the bend they come. Lisa Vitozzi just edging it as things stand. Malin Cierkajda trying to find a way past. It will come all the way down to the line. This is a brilliant battle. Italy against Norway, Sweden falling back, France off the podium, and it will be the Norwegians. Malin Cierkajda, in excellent form, puts Norway atop the podium for the first time since 2024. Well, Chad, breathtaking stuff. Italy second, and if you'd have offered them that at the start of the day, you know they would have taken it. The second time this season they stand on the podium, and after struggling through Oberhof and Hochfilzen, the Italians well and truly proving that they're back. Sweden able to take it all the way around the final lap, and they will stand on the podium once again as France fall off it. And look at this for a performance as well, as we applaud the teams that we so regularly see at the top. It's been an excellent day for Czechia.
Yeah, to also come across the line ahead of Germany in Ruhpolding, Czechia in fifth, great performance by them. 3 extra rounds total on the day. You have to feel for Franziska Preuss, but going back to that last leg, it was all about the physiology of each of those athletes and how they use their fitness. Vitozzi did a perfect job. She's got nothing to hang her head about finishing second, but Cierkajda let Hanna Oberg carry her around the first half of the loop. Hanna Oberg got a little too excited, probably burned her candle a little too soon. Still get the bronze, but she gave Malin Cierkajda the pull she needed to get to Lisa Vitozzi and then outsprint her at the finish. And you can see Vitozzi, she just doesn't have an answer. I don't know that Vitozzi would ever beat Cierkajda in that situation unless Cierkajda is actually, unless the opposite is happening, unless Cierkajda is leading and Vitozzi has caught her at that point. So, well,
let's talk quickly, Chad, about this excellent quality that Malin Cierkajda is now really displaying to the world. 22 years old, and that's exactly how she won her first World Cup in the mass start in Annecy-le-Grand-Bonnard. That sprint to the end, which, of course, you were there to witness, and she's done it again today, and what an asset that is for her going forward.
Absolutely, and it just gives you so much confidence with so much of the biathlon repertoire being head-to-head now and not against the clock. That's kind of the ace in the hole that you have, and if you know that you can pull it out late in the race and still have your base speed be enough to stay with the likes of a push from Hanna Oberg and not have it toast you before you get to the final 100 meters, you know you have that. Now everybody knows Cierkajda. It's not going to be a surprise anymore. We all know that Cierkajda can maybe even look a little tired in the first part of that loop, but still has enough to take it home for the win.
And bib number 11, he will finish 11th. The USA across the line with Margie Fried.
8 extra rounds on the day, solid shooting performance. And not quite as exciting as their 6th place in Oberhof, but still there's a very different kind of race today. Definitely favors the fast shooters because the range is so friendly. But Norway gets the victory, and they are thrilled.
Well, it's been a long old wait, Chad, hasn't it? You look back to the last time they stood atop the podium. That was Soldier Hollow, as we mentioned, Utah in 2024. Of course, plenty of podium finishes since then. They have struggled with the consistency, but the last 2 races, I think, were signs of where they possibly could go after that disastrous first race weekend in Östersund, where they finished 13th, back-to-back seconds before today, and now atop the podium for the first time since 2024, and doing it under pressure. A new-look team with, of course, Martha Klukstad Johansson and Juni Arnekleiv stepping back up from the IBU Cup. You have to doff your caps to the way that they did it today, because if you look at that starting lineup in comparison to the stability that they've had before, you maybe wouldn't have put them to take the win today.
I don't say maybe, I wouldn't have. they absolutely overperformed. Worth pointing out there, though, that the last time Norway won, Arnekleiv and Knoten were both on that team in Soldier Hollow. And so I think this is a great statement by Una Arniklive coming from the IBU Cup that you might want to just take me to the Olympics to do the relay.
Yeah.
You know, if you have her in good shape, she had a great leg for the Norwegians today and kept them in it all the way. And you don't overlook that in Olympic situations. But you know, I think the biggest thing for me is the revelation of this Norwegian team is leg one. Martha Krakstad Johansen. It wasn't a sparkly finish, but she did what she needed to do today to take the win, to get her team the opportunity to win. And that the relay all starts with leg one. I mean, if you have a leg one, we've seen it with Sweden and we've seen it with Italy where they fall way back and they have to work so hard just to get on the podium. But if you want to win, really hard to do that from coming way back in the field.
Well, just a brief word on France. The first question I asked you today, Chad, was what will teams want to get out of racing over the next 2 days, of course, with the women's relay today and the men's tomorrow. The last time that we will race the single gender relays before the Olympic Games. How disappointed do you think the French team will be today? Of course, with that record at the Olympics, they haven't taken Olympic gold since 1992 and the first year that this fixture was introduced.
Well, it stings a little bit. They're only 10.5, again, really tight race, just 10.5 seconds to fourth, 3 seconds to third. You can't walk away from this if you're France feeling terribly dejected. They only missed six shots, but Italy only missed 4. Sweden missed 1 more, and Norway missed 2 more. The thing that's amazing to me is that Norway actually didn't outshoot the field, and they won today. And that was just the way the race plays out, and that's why we race. We can talk about stats all we want, but until the dynamics of the races come out, you can't really use your personnel. You can't predict the way you're going to need to use your personnel today, and the way that the race played out for Norway should give them a lot of confidence. It doesn't mean that this is the way the Olympics relay is going to go, but it gives them a ton of confidence that they can compete for the gold medal, and they need that right now. But France, they can do it. They know they can do it too.
Just 2 lap teams out of the 19 today, and as we see some of the fans start to move their way around the grandstand here. Chad, it was a great way to kick off our week here in Ruhpolding, and well, how many times have we mentioned it already today? The bumper crowds, no doubt, just adding to the drama and the excitement that we've witnessed here in Ruhpolding.
It can be a tiring week if you're partying the whole time, but it's a great way to start. I mean, it feels sad for Germany. They were in it all the way to the last shooting stage, but still, this Ruhpolding German crowd is always thrilled, and they always love the race, no matter what happens, no matter who wins. They're well informed of who it is, and they were excited by a thrilling race that didn't involve Germany for a spot in medals, but boy, they sure would like to see some German success here this week. That's for sure. Well, if you would have told me that Martha Krakstad Johansen would have been the ticket for the first leg of the Norwegian Olympic team, I wouldn't have believed it, but she's looking like she might be the one. That might be the order they go with at the Olympics. It's worked. They used her in Hochfilzen to get second. They used her again in Oberhof to get second, and they used her to win today. So I don't think you want to mess with the winning combination.
And there's one very happy coach.
Maren, what the incredible final loop. This was such an exciting relay until the end. How did you do it?
Oh, I don't know. I was in the start I was afraid I wasn't even going to make it to the podium, so I was just trying to keep up with Hanna, and then I saw we were catching up to Julia, so I thought, okay, if we can take her at least, we will be on the podium. But then suddenly I had really good skis and I was really close to Lisa, and I just tried, and yeah, amazing to win. It's my first relay win, so that was really fun.
How cool is it to do for the team? You know, it's been a difficult journey for the whole Norwegian team, so I think this is even more special.
Yes, it's really special. My teammates did a really good job today, and they gave me a really good start for my leg. So yeah, it was thanks to them that we was able to take a win today.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Always great to hear from, usually, Chad, the final leg of our relay races, and it was the biathlete who won it today for Norway in an incredible final sprint in Malin Kirkeide, and of course citing the job that her teammates had done, as you've pointed out already, but it can't be understated, the season that she's having.
No, and I think the turnaround of this relay team is pretty spectacular. You know, they didn't start Ingrid Landmark-Tandervold today, and I think it's a shame for her. But you know, they found a winning combination without her, and I think that's going to be probably on everybody's mind going into the Olympics. And if you think where Norway was at the end of the first relay in Östersund, 13th place, that feels, and you know, 2-3 relays later they win. That is a big turnaround. They went the 13th, second, and first, and. This is a big move for the Norwegians, and it's interesting how they got here. They just they kind of got here by default because they needed to fill the roster, and the roster that they put on this course ended up being the winning combination. A little bit unnerving in a lot of ways, but it's also, you have to, as a coaching staff, you have to look at what your results are and how you're getting them. And this is a good team. They clearly had what it took to win today. And they did it without special shooting. They're not the best shooting team on the course either today. So hats off to them.
Well, the last time they won here in Ruhpolding in the relay was the 22-23 season. Of course, it's well over a year since their last win on the World Cup, which came at the end of 2020, or the end of the 23-24 season. And carrying the momentum, picking up pace at the right time, as Chad said there. A disastrous start to the season, I think it's fair to put, for them in Östersund, 13th, far below the standard that they would want to be. 4 times they went around the penalty loop, only once around the penalty loop in Oberhof, securing second after the second place finish in Hochfilzen as well, and now back on top. And well, it's France who find themselves off the podium today.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming.
No.
And talk about a very nervy situation for the team that has won 2 of the 4 relays so far this season. They've got the most wins, but they also just got stymied at the final World Cup before the Olympics. I think the good thing is, if you look forward, the upside is, if I would be talking to this French team, is like, you know, these women grew up in the Alps for the most part. Higher altitude, they'll be competing at high altitude at a higher altitude venue in Antolz. These relays really aren't akin. This relay situation compared to the Antolz relay, completely different skill sets needed from the physical output side, and I think that France still is the superior team of the field. They just weren't able to quite show it today in Ruhpolding.
Well, it wasn't a bad day for Norway the last time that they raced in a women's relay in Antholz. They finished second on that relay. It was France who finished third, with Sweden taking the victory. They're third today. Well, you can see the focus there, Chad, on Dorothea Vera. We have been, well, waxing lyrical about her all season and this incredible return to form. How encouraging, as of course we've spoken about the Italian team as a whole, but how encouraging is it to have Dorothea Viera back in this form and doing what she does best and looking relaxed, doing it in the relay?
Well, it changes everything. I think it totally transformed the Italian team from a challenger to a favorite, and I think they were, after today, you have to look at them as a favorite. I think the fact that Michela Carrara had 2 extra rounds for a total of 4 for the team. The Italians were the best shooters today, and if they do that in the Olympic Games, they should have a good chance at not only winning a medal, but winning the gold in this relay. And as I pointed out, Carrara is fast. She just needs to have the composure under the pressure, and that's the whole different thing. Is that there's pressure every World Cup, but when it's the Olympic Games and you're from Italy and you're on Olympic snow, can Michela Carrara put that out of her head and deliver what Italy needs for that relay? That's a pretty big question if you understand the nature of pressure and standing on a shooting range in a biathlon event at the Olympic Games. It's a whole step further for Carrara, but confidence today in what she did.
It won't be long until we see the top 3 back out into the stadium for the medal ceremony. But let's just run you through the rest of the weekend. And of course, it's an extended week here in Ruhpolding as the top 3 make their way out in Ruhpolding after the women's relay. It's the men who take to the tracks tomorrow in their final relay before the Olympic Games. Then on Friday, the women's 7.5 kilometre sprint. On Saturday, it's the men's 10k sprint before both pursuit races on Sunday. And what a stunning setting we have here in Ruhpolding.
Welcome to the flower ceremony of the BMW IBU World Cup Biathlon 2026 in Ruhpolding Relay Women. Herzlich willkommen zur Siegerehrung mit Blumen des BMW IBU Weltcup 2026 in Ruhpolding Staffel der Frauen. The prizes will be presented by. Die Preise werden überreicht von Ole Dahlen, President of the IBU, from Hermann Hipp, the President of the OC Ruhpolding, and from Thorsten Klauber, Minister of State for Environment and Consumer Protection. First place. Third place. Dritter Platz. Sweden, Johanna Skottheim.
Well, a welcome return to the World Cup for Johanna Skottheim after spending Oberhof back home with illness. And Gesblom in her first women's relay since recovering from an injury that saw her out for all of last season, and the Öberg sisters as well make up the podium for Sweden, who take 3rd and the bronze medal today.
I think takeaway for Sweden is they didn't get way back in the order, which is, I think, a step forward. It's still probably a little bit disappointing for them to be at the front of the race the whole way through and still come up short, 2 steps short of the win. But as I said, the Antolz Olympic course and venue is high altitude, and I think they've got a group that can perform very well there if they're prepared for it. So solid day, but not A+ for Sweden.
And they are presented with Beppos, the Biathlon Foxes, who you will see plenty of over the course of this week. And up to the podium come the Italians, led by Hanna Ockenthaler, who took on the first leg today. Dorothea Viera impressing on the second. Michela Carrara really holding her own. And another impressive performance, just her second time on the podium in a World Cup race after that lovely moment with Dorothea Viera in Östersund, where she was surprised. The Italian, one of the Italian leaders, as you have to say, along with Lisa Vitozzi, to find out that it was Michela Carrara's first time on the podium. So a second time, a second medal for Michela Carrara and Lisa Vitozzi on that final leg with perfect shooting to ensure that they stayed in the battle all the way to the line.
Well, Carrara carries the name of one of biathlon's greatest biathletes and Olympic silver medalists. Her uncle, Pier Alberto Carrara, who was the silver medalist in the 20-kilometer individual in 1998 in Nagano, would like to bring another medal to that family as a member of the relay team and hopefully gold in Italy. So besides the jitters and the nerves, she's got that legacy to contend with.
And a welcome return to top spot for Norway. First time since 2024 they've had to wait. A collection of bronze and silver medals for the first time since Soldier Hollow. They're back on top spots. Now, can they keep this good form up? Have they found a winning formula with Juliana Clyde and Marta Klogstad Johansson in the squad? We'll have to wait and see what shape they show up in Antholz in a couple of weeks' time as we head over for the Olympic Games. But well, Chad, this certainly looks like a winning formula for Norway.
Well, it's better than they've done all year, and it's been, like you said, it's been a couple of years since they've won a relay. So you have to look seriously at what happened and how it happened. And sometimes, as a coach and as a staff, you can't always predict the way things are going to go based on what you know about the people. And this is certainly, it's not a massive surprise, but it's a little surprise. And they're going to need some time to kind of discern what this means to their selection for the Olympic race. But a lot still to happen in the month. But Olympics are closing in, and those early Olympic races are going to determine what this team actually is made up of for their chance to win the gold in the Olympic Games.
So the first podium here in Ruhpolding, and it is Norway who stand atop it. Italy taking a second silver medal in the women's relay this season. Sweden taking the bronze. We will be back once again, same time tomorrow, 2:30 Central European time for the men's relay as we continue what we hope will be a thrilling week here in Ruhpolding. Back again tomorrow, 2:30 for the men's relay, that's Central European time. And we do hope that you can join us then here on Eurovision Sport.
Nice.